Hi everybody, so here we are with the release of Call of Duty's Warzone Battle Royale mode. Have we reached a point where PUBG can finally be properly eclipsed in terms of the semi-realistic shooter genre? And this is a really interesting question, because since its release in 2017, PUBG has been the only kind of, and I'm using these terms very loosely, but military sim type battle royale. In fact, that's the thing that really set it apart from not only, well, it was one of the first battle royales anyway, but other shooters on console and PC as well. You know, unless you like playing Armour or something like that. You know, the gunplay and the environments and the way that you use tactics and strategies throughout the game really appealed in a time where the other games that you were playing shooter-wise, you had things like Call of Duty, for example, you know, with boost jumping and all these perks where you could see through walls, and think games like, you know, Destiny, you know, science fiction, and the idea of just having submachine guns, machine guns, shotguns, LMGs, and your wits on a massive map, you know, was fantastic, and they got a lot of things right. Call of Duty, as we know, well, 2 years ago now, brought their version of Battle Royale, and we had Blackout with Black Ops 4, which, although initially was very, very promising, for me anyway, it turned out to be quite disappointing. It was too complicated in terms of the inventory system, you know, adding attachments to guns and repairing your armour. And then you had all these perks that you could pick up dead silent, and you had all these gadgets like grappling hooks and all this sort of stuff, which made it difficult. Also, they tried to cram, I think, too many players onto too small a map. So you had 100 players going onto this relatively small Battle Royale map, which meant that you were always getting into gunfights right from the beginning. And for me, a big part of the Battle Royale type games is the exploration and survival side, and kind of trying to pretend to be a little bit sneaky in the way that you loot up and then making your way into the final circles. And you couldn't do that. So now, you know, Activision and in this case Infinity Ward, have they learnt from those mistakes with Blackout, with Warzone, and how does it compare with PUBG? And we also have to bear in mind the fact that, for me anyway, PUBG isn't the game it used to be. Most games over time kind of get better and better, don't they? You would think anyway, they become more and more refined. Unfortunately, the developers behind PUBG have made quite a lot of questionable decisions about the game, which include adding things that we probably don't need, but also not addressing some of the long-term problems that the game has always had, which has led to a declining player base and a game that isn't as fun to play at its height. So, let's take a step back. Let's talk about Warzone and all the kind of tick boxes that are really going for Warzone. So the first one is it's free to play. That is really cool. So everybody, whether you've got Xbox, PlayStation or PC, you can download Warzone and you can play it. And you also have cross-platform partying up, at least between Xbox and PlayStation as well. I'm not sure if you can cross-party platform with PC. You might be able to. Not sure. Don't think you can. But you play against PC players. So we're going to have this massive player base, which means that we can get into games fairly quickly. The other really cool thing is that the way they are monetizing the game at the moment is through the Battle Pass system. So you can choose to buy the Battle Pass if you want, but the Battle Pass just includes cosmetic items. You know, there's no pay to win here, and skins for your characters as well. So you can buy them, and it's monetized exactly the same way that the main multiplayer Call of Duty Modern Warfare is monetized as well, which I think is really good. So no loot boxes, no pay to win at the moment anyway, and I don't think they're going to introduce that. At the moment we've only got squads, which are squads of 3, but they said they're going to be introducing introducing duos and solos, and with the number of people playing this, I think that they will. Hopefully, it won't be a limited time mode. And we've got as I said, we've got this absolutely huge map to explore. The type of guns that we've got, so we've got we haven't exactly, well, we've got M4A1s and AKs, so it's that right period for me anyway, similar to PUBG. We've got semi-automatic weapons, we've got sniper rifles, we've got shotguns. We don't have energy weapons. We don't have any of the silly stuff from Black Ops 4 or Black Ops 3. It's all kind of boots on the ground gameplay, so another massive tick there. They've simplified all the inventory. In fact, there is no inventory to go into in Warzone. You don't need to. The guns already come with attachments on them, and you can get different levels of guns that will have different levels of attachments on. So they might have an extended magazine or a scope or something like that, and you just find them and you pick them up. You can only carry sort of 2 explosives of any type and 1 tactical, and you can only ever carry 1 field upgrade, and you can only ever carry 1 airstrike as well. One kill streak, sorry, which is pretty cool as well. So it's all simplified. They've simplified the ammo, and it's auto pickup on the ammo as well. And you go through and do all that. Graphically, it looks amazing. You look at Warzone and you think, if this looks this good, why does PUBG look so bad? Why does PUBG often look like an Xbox 360 game, where you've got a map of similar size with the Warzone map, with so much more detail, and it runs incredibly smooth as well. So really, really good tick marks there. So everything seems to be good. They've also made, you could argue that they've made Battle Royale a little bit more interesting in the mid-game as well, in the fact that not only do you have running around and killing other players, but there's things called contracts that you can pick up. So you can pick up these things where you can either have to go on like a treasure hunt looking for boxes, or you can have to play a mini game of domination and defend an area, or you can pick up a contract where you've got to track down another team and kill one of their players to earn cash, and then you can use this cash that you earn by doing contracts or finding it or killing players, and then you can buy stuff. So you can buy airstreaks, you can buy revives. You can even buy a supply crate that enables you to use the loadout that you use in multiplayer in Warzone. So that's really cool as well. If you die, there's a number of ways to come back into the game. You go into the gulag and you have a fight. Your teammates can pay to revive you, or you can have a self-revive that you use as well. So they're all good. At the moment, the only real bad thing for me about Warzone has really carried over from Blackout, and that's the time to kill, and that's related to the way that the armor works in Warzone. So what Activision and what Infinity Ward have gone with is a model where you have 100 health, and then you get these armor plates, and the armor plates are in fact just giving you more health. So each armor plate is worth 50, so you can have three on at any one time. So in effect, you go up to 250 health. And what that means is when you engage somebody and you start shooting at them, it's like you're having to kill 2.5 people if you get all your targets all your shots on target. And the problem with this, especially in squads, is that it's very difficult to kill more than one player at a time, because you'll kill one player and you really have to reload to have enough bullets to kill the next player. And this can be very, very frustrating. It also means that when you're using, say, a sniper rifle or a DMR and blatting someone from a distance, if they get behind cover, because you've got to hit them 2 or 3, 4 times to kill them, if they get behind cover, they can then wait for their health to heal, because you've got auto health regen, and they can put some armor plates in, and it's as if nothing happened. And the worst thing about this as well is that you can be behind somebody, and you could be, so you've got the position, you've worked to get the tactical advantage on somebody. You start shooting at them, and say you miss a couple of shots, because you've got to put so many bullets into them, because they've got, say, 3 lots of armor, and say you haven't got any armor, they can spin around and they can shoot you before you kill them. And for me, that is always a big no-no in shooters, because it's penalising the person who had the better position, who had the better tactics. Now, the way that armour works in PUBG is a bit different. You have level 3, level 2, level 1 armour, but what it does, it just reduces incoming damage. So the time to kill doesn't go up that much. You know, if you use it using an automatic weapon, you can kill people very, very quickly, and you've still got the option of getting one-shot kills to the head, unless people are wearing like things like level 3 helmets. So that's the big kind of thing that for me at the moment I'm still trying to get my head around. It may be to do with the fact that I need to choose some slightly different weapons to the ones I'm using. Maybe using like a single shot sniper rifle in Warzone Battle Royale isn't the best option. Maybe I should be using like an LMG with a sniper scope on, or a DMR, or something like the FAL with the sniper scope on. Maybe that would be a better thing to do. So, you know, I'm not that way. So, PUBG kind of has the advantage in terms of time to kill, and the way it works that way. PUBG, although it looks a bit crap, you know, it does have a certain feel, and you do feel I feel very grounded in PUBG. You know, you feel part of the environment, and the way that the guns kick and bounce, and you've got to hang on to them, really helps a lot. But as I said at the beginning of the video, PUBG's got this problem in that I don't think PUBG is the game that it really was. And sometimes you can say, well, maybe we don't play it that much anymore because, you know, we've put hundreds of hours, we've put thousands of hours into PUBG. Sure, you're bound to get bored with it and want to take something new. Well, it's not just that. It's not that just that. I've been playing a bit of PUBG recently, and especially on Xbox. You know, the game seems to... You think the game's running okay, and then it starts to hang. And it's like the game is missing, well, not frames, but you kind of... It stops. You think, wait a minute, this game should be running really smoothly now. They've had enough time to optimise it. They've done things like... they've taken away my favourite map, which is Vikendi. I know they say they're going to bring it back. But then they've introduced maps like Karakin, this very small map that for me is nothing about PUBG at all. Because, you know, Karakin is all about, you know, there's no vehicles, they take away lots of the guns, and then what they do is they put all the maps together so you can't even choose the maps that you want to play. And that, you might say, well, you can't choose the maps that you want to play in Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that. That's true, but in Battle Royales, you know, the game is going to last half an hour, and if I don't particularly want to play on Miramar or Karakin, you know, I think I should have that option not to have to bother playing that, because I want to play on Erangel, or I want to play on Vikendi, or God forbid I might want to play on Sandhawk, something like that. And they've taken that decision away from me, and I could fire up PUBG, flick it, and it goes dunk into Karakin, and immediately I'm like, oh. And I might well play one game on Karakin and go, okay, but then it kicks me into Sandhawk. And I'm like, well, I definitely don't want to play this. So, bonk, I just turn it off that way. Recently, the PUBG Corp have talked about messing around with the supply drops again, and taking the M249 SAW LMG out of the supply drops, and making it and weakening it, nerfing it, and then making it as a general spawn weapon, so they can fit this shotgun in. Well, so now we've got a situation there with supply drops, but there's no point going after supply drops, because the only thing that they have in them that's good are level 3 helmets and level 3 vests, and everything else, there's no point, because there's guns that are just as good around the map. It's like, I know Brendan Green has left from the direct involvement with PUBG. He's off doing other things in Holland now, but it's like they need him back to say, look, this is what PUBG is about. Look at Erangel. Erangel is the way it should be. All the maps should be variants of Erangel. Like Vikendi, I think, is a snow variant of Erangel, and really work from that. So when we're asking ourselves about Warzone versus PUBG, if it was about PUBG for me when it was at its best, when we probably had the maps of Erangel, Miramar, Sandhawk and Vikendi was the featured map, that for me was PUBG at its best, you know, and I don't think any game could really compare with that at all. It was absolutely fantastic, enjoyed playing it, and would still be playing it an awful lot now. But PUBG isn't that anymore. And so what we've got now though is we've got this Call of Duty's version of Battle Royale in Warzone that looks great, plays great, has some really interesting ideas going on. We're only at the beginning of its life cycle, and the only real complaint I've got at the moment is the time to kill, which I think is too long. Sure, it doesn't have the ups and downs in the environment like PUBG is, where you can creep in. You know, a lot of the time it's who sees who first. And if you don't see the other team first, especially in squads, you know you're going to get taken down. You can see here in this particular footage the sheer undulations that you get on the ground in PUBG. You don't really get that in Warzone as much. But all of the other pluses that you get with Warzone, you know, looking great, running great, massive player count, massive map, lots of fun, lots of different vehicles to play around with, lots of different weapons, lots of things to keep you occupied in the mid game, really for me means that unless PUBG Corp take a long hard look at what PUBG is really meant to be about and really go back to the core of what the players like about PUBG, why we all flocked to play this buggy, janky game, you know, in 2000, I guess it came out on Xbox in 2018. Unless they really look at that, then they are going to get left behind. In fact, WTF Moses did a interesting video that I watched today where he was saying, look, if it carries on going the way it is, you know, this time next year PUBG will be dead because people are leaving it, you know, to play other games. And I think when people see Warzone, that's free to play, they're gonna be, look how great this looks, look how well it plays. It doesn't have all the silliness that Blackout had. People are really gonna, you know, come to this game in droves. So that's kind of my conclusion, really. When you compare PUBG with Warzone, I've got to say PUBG at its best is one of the greatest games ever made. And there really wouldn't be that much comparison. You know, Warzone would be an arcadey, a nice thing to play, but you know, for your serious battle royale, your serious kind of military sim in inverted commas player, you know, PUBG would be the one. But PUBG isn't that game anymore. It's got too many things wrong with it, you know, in my opinion. And so I think that Warzone definitely is worthy of your serious consideration and putting some serious time to learn it and to have some fun. And I think when they open up, for example, the solos and the duos, we're really going to see what this game is all about and really have some fun indeed. So there we go. I'm not sure if I'm completely happy with my conclusions in this video, but Warzone versus PUBG. Warzone is a really strong contender, and I wouldn't be surprised if this time next year, unless some serious stuff is done with PUBG, PUBG will be very difficult to play because the player base will be so small, and Warzone will have gone from strength to strength. There we go. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you've got any questions or comments about this, put them in the comments section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. Thank you very much for your time and for listening to me waffle on about this subject for the past 20 minutes or so. And I will see you again soon.
I've got gas inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Allez, pousse trop long.
Supply cache ready for...
Got an assault rifle.